I remember running out to the road that day. I'm in a t-shirt and panties, trying to flag people down that are passing by because at that point my phone was broken. He had thrown it. I remember a guy on the tractor in the field behind our house and me trying to, and nobody came. Nobody cared. People put on their blinders and say, I'm going to mind my business and I'm not going to say anything. And then I wasn't at the apartment when he got home, and then he lost it. So when I did come through the door with Jace, he ended up slinging Jace across Jace's bedroom, and Jace is just barely 4 at this time. Um, I remember he like grabbed me by my neck and pushed me down on the couch and told me, if you ever try to leave me, I'll beat you to death. I'll kill you. Slung me around some, pushed me around. Um, and I just remember thinking, like, if I can just get him out of the apartment, like, if I can just say something to make him mad enough to get him out of the apartment, like, just, and I don't know what I said, but I just started going back off on him. And eventually, like, it got him mad enough that he left. And I remember just grabbing Jace, grabbing a bag of clothes, and running to my friend's apartment, and her locking the door and her calling the police.
What's up, my people? It's your favorite light and boogie in this thing. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast, where we are shining light on the darkness that is domestic violence and abuse. If you've never been here before, welcome to season 2. Woo! And we got 3 simple goals: to educate, empower, and encourage. We are here to educate anyone who has never been in abusive relationships, don't understand the complexities, how people get there, why people stay. We gonna find out. We are here to empower all of our survivors to stand up and share your story without shame, fear, guilt, or judgment, because you are strong, you are powerful, and your voice deserves to be heard. And to anyone who is currently suffering in silence, listen, you are not alone. You are not crazy. Abuse is not normal. Your feelings are valid. And despite how it may look and feel in this very moment, we encourage you to safely seek support. Now let's go ahead and hop up in this thing, because we got to rise above these insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, and revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion. The Conf1dence Way. So we about to light it up. All right, now, it's another one. I am super, super, super excited to have my sister on the show. The world sees her as this magnificent mother, this empowering, powerful woman, this strength walking on 2 legs, this beautiful, vibrant light. But you might know her as Christina in the building.
Hey!
Girl! Oh my gosh. First of all, how you doing?
I'm good. Life is good.
Yes.
It's good to be at a place where I can say life is good.
Oh my gosh. As you're saying that, I just took this deep breath, because I can feel the freedom to breathe from you saying it's good to be in a place where I can say life is good.
Mm-hmm.
God. Ooh, y'all, I don't know what this is about to be. But please keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. And if you need a
Buckle
mouthpiece
it
in the
up.
helmet, put it right next to you. Because God, dog, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something. Oh my gosh. I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity for us to have this conversation. And thank you for your transparency to not only share your story as part of your healing journey, but to also be a voice and a face for people who feel like they're doing this by themselves, who feel like no one can understand what they've been through, who feel like they're so ashamed of what they're currently in or what they've been in. So thank you for doing this. And I'm excited.
Me too. I'm ready. I'm
I'm so
pumped.
excited. It is a privilege and an honor. So I'm going to kick it off with the infamous first question.
Okay.
When you were growing up, Christina, had there ever been any time in your life that you can remember, in your household, at school, at church, or anything of that nature, where you can look back now and say, oh yeah, that was abusive?
When I share my testimony, I say it like this: I had a really, really good childhood. I had amazing parents. They divorced when I was really young, but they both remarried, and I had amazing step parents. And and I don't mean to sound, I don't, the word arrogant or I don't know, silver spoon. Like, that's the only way I know how to describe my childhood. I had everything that I wanted and everything that I needed, and I was well loved and well cared for. So when I got into an abusive relationship at the age of 20, um, it changed my world. It absolutely flipped my world upside down.
That's amazing that you had that experience growing up. Not only, oh my gosh, you had an amazing experience
Mm-hmm.
because you had two loving parents who divorced, who still loved you,
Mm-hmm.
and then sounds like they respected each other even still, and then they remarried, and you still had a safe, healthy, two safe, healthy, loving environments, which
Mm-hmm.
is very extremely rare.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely beautiful. And I'm glad that you shared that. One, because a lot of people think that abuse only presents itself to someone who's grown up in abuse.
Mm-hmm. No,
It doesn't.
it does not.
I've never seen my parents lay a hand on one another.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I can remember the yelling at you. Now I remember growing up and getting older, and I could feel when the energy had shifted and there was
Right.
tension. But as far as them flat out arguing in front of me and my brother, doing anything that was questionable, never saw it. And like you,
Right.
still got sucker punched.
Still, right in the gut. Right in the gut.
The good. Like, what? These people, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. So
Mm-hmm.
so you grew up fine. Did you have any relationships prior to the relationship that you experienced when you turned 20?
I did. I had a high school boyfriend, and that was, 8 or 9 months, and we split up, just high school thing.
Hmm.
And then I got pregnant, I think, about a year and a half after I graduated high school. And I was in a relationship with him for a little while, and ended that when my son was 3 months old. He wasn't abusive. He was, looking back now, I'm like, well, gosh, dog, he was the best out of all of them. Oh, baby daddy number one. Okay. Anyway, anyway,
Wait. But what happened?
I think what I was just very unhappy, and I was
Mm,
like, I'm not happy here,
yeah.
and I don't have to stay where I'm unhappy. And so I picked I thought I had this concept in my head of what love was supposed to look like, and it was supposed to be fireworks and chemistry and all that. And I didn't have that with him. And so I was like, I don't have to be in this. And so I stepped away, and I moved in. Me and my son moved in with my mom. And about 3 months later, I met my daughter's dad, who was extremely abusive. And it was normal for the first couple years. I thought everything was good. And, he just ended up getting extremely intoxicated one night and coming home. And I'll never, I mean, I was just so shocked by this. And even like in our fights in the beginning, I knew, because of the way that I had grown up, like, this isn't normal. Like, people don't, my parents didn't do this. Um, and I'll never forget New Year's Eve of, I think it was 2013. My son was a little over 3, or almost 3, and he came home just 13 sheets to the wind. Threw me over the couch, pushed me around. I'll never forget, Jace was potty training at that time, my son, and so it was like those potty chairs that they went, and I hadn't dumped, like, from his last potty in it. And I remember him, I'll never forget, he kicked that all over me. And just a lot of screaming and yelling and threatening that, he was going to kill me. And then finally he just fell out on the floor and passed out. And I was like, thank the Lord. But it shook me. And I think 2 days later, I packed me and my son up in my car and went back to my mom's house.
This is your daughter's dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So y'all were together for a couple years.
We were together. We got together in August of 2010, and he abused me for the first time in January of 2013.
So you move in with your mom, you
Yeah.
and Jace, and
Mm-hmm.
then you meet Harpo.
Mm-hmm.
And how did I want to go back to the beautiful part of it, or what you thought was the
Okay.
beautiful part. So
I
you
don't.
meet him.
Mm-hmm.
What draws you to him? Like, what is it that you're like, oh, I would like to get to know this guy?
You know, looking back, I don't know anymore.
Mm.
Um, because he had just gotten out of jail. He
Dang
was
it!
in. I know it. He
Wait,
was.
because this is not judgment at all. Oh my gosh, it's just such a common theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to sit on these common themes because I'm hoping that whoever comes across this and they haven't been exposed to the dark side of these people, you do not have to be the person that gives them the second or third or fourth chance. That is not your obligation, responsibility. They clearly have trauma that they need to heal from, and it's not your responsibility to be the punching bag as they figure out if they even
Mm-hmm.
care to. And I only, oh my God, I only say that because Harper over here, he hadn't just got out of jail, but he had been to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, well, you deserve another chance, or that was a mistake, or I can love you back. What are all this,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you think about when you don't see just got out of jail as a red flag. And
Mm-hmm.
it should, unless God himself truly says that's your person, that's a red flag. Like there's no reason for you and your brain
Mm-hmm.
to go, oh, you were in jail? Don't worry about that. What? Tell me more about you prior to
I
that.
can fix you.
I can fix you. What do you mean? You just need a little more love. You weren't loved. Don't do it. Okay, so you don't know what attracted you to him. He just gotten out of jail.
Mhm.
Well, how do we? Please, I'm so curious and interested.
So a mutual friend actually introduced us. She was like, he's a good guy. He's super nice. He's, just going through a rough patch. Him and his wife are divorcing. The wife had gone to, and her and I are like we're family now. I mean, we're super good friends now. She had gone to, to a place, and I should have realized like it was probably him that drove her to have to admit herself, right? But I didn't. I
You're not
didn't.
going
I
to.
did not put two and two together, and I just thought, oh, he has all this swag, and he's tattooed, and he's tall, and he's got these beautiful blue eyes, and he says all the right things, and he's gonna move me into his house, and now I have somebody that it was the fireworks. It was the
Mm-hmm.
chemistry. It was exactly like I didn't feel those things for my son's dad. And here
Mm-hmm.
we are, boom. Here's the chemistry. Here's what I had been chasing since the things I felt for my high school boyfriend. And that was probably it, like chasing that feeling.
So your mutual friend,
Mm-hmm.
she knew he had gone to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know why he went to jail?
Yeah, it was like a possession of marijuana charge.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a
How long?
domestic battery charge. He was only in there for like I think like 60 days. So he
Okay.
wasn't like, and I
Okay.
was like, oh, weed. That's nothing.
What does that have to do with me? Nothing. Nothing.
Right.
Okay. So he goes in for a possession charge. He's a good guy. She's talking him up, even though she knows he's going through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, like, how close is she to him to know that he's going through a divorce and that, like you said, he probably drove his ex-wife
Mm-hmm.
bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does she know about that, you know? Or is she being blinded and consumed by the charisma and the charm and the good talk, which a lot of them tend to do and are very
Yes.
skilled at? Because I don't want to make it seem like you calling somebody a friend would set you up with someone, you know,
I
that they
don't think that she
knew.
knew. I don't
Yeah,
think
she
that she
couldn't
had
have.
any idea. And it's crazy that you say that because I mean, literally, him and I are not on speaking terms right now. But we were for about 8 or 9 months, and my mom had come with me one time. This was maybe 5 months ago to meet him to get child support for my daughter. And we left, and my mom was like, Christina, he doesn't seem as crazy anymore. He seems really nice now. I mean, and I looked at her and I'm like, are we, mother, um, sociopath, narcissist. Like,
They're so
that's
good.
what he does. And my mom, like, rode this whole ride with me for
Wow.
5, 6 years. And she's like, hey, his eyes don't look as crazy anymore. I, okay. I'm gonna let you just go sit over there in the corner for saying that, mom, because he's more crazy. You need to go to timeout, mother.
They're so good. They're
Mhm.
so good at it. So good at it. And I think another thing that we need to be more comfortable with as women is when we are entertaining the idea of a potential partner, asking the questions like, okay, so how did your last relationship end? What how many relationships have you been in? Have you ever been abused? And you can see by the way that they respond most of the time, their body language, if their mouth doesn't say it, their body language will tell you.
Yes.
Because they don't like feeling like they're being backed in a corner. And it might turn out as that's it's either going to come off abrasively, that why
Mhm.
we even talk about that, that's in the past, or it's going to come off as a smooth deflection from the conversation to a different topic so that they don't make you feel defensive, but they also don't answer the question so they don't have to be honest with you.
One of the questions I ask, and this is, and I've really in the past, I was no contact 10 months yesterday with my ex fiance. He was not, that's not my daughter's dad. That's a totally different relationship. But one of the questions that I've asked, just in with the past couple months is, how do you co-parent with the mother of your child? Like, how do you feel about her? Because if they will dog the mother of their child, what do you think they're going what do you think if they will call her every name in the book? What do you think they're going to call you?
Right.
It's not cute. It's not a bonding thing. It's not a laughing. I don't want to bond over the fact that you hate your baby mama.
Mhm.
That's not okay. And I'm just like, blocked. You talked bad about
Right.
your baby mama, blocked.
I
It's
can't do
huge
it.
for me now.
It's definitely because what happens is, for the people who haven't been in our experience and they don't know, is that the ex-wife, the ex partner, the mother of their kids becomes the villain of their story.
Mhm.
And they're always the crazy one. They're always the one that didn't know how to have self-control. They're always the one that manipulated the situation. And in reality, that's that's not the case.
Right.
Or perhaps they were crazy, but it was after trying to maintain their sanity with dealing with these people that they couldn't hold on to their sanity anymore. And then they do
Right.
end up crazy. So I think it's good that we sit on the fact that he was charming, he was charismatic, he was going through a divorce, he had just been out of jail. Like, all of these things don't have to be deal breakers or flags, but from my experience and your experience, we advocate that these are flags.
Right.
And you just got to be careful, and you have to be willing to have the uncomfortable conversations, because how they respond tells you everything you need to know. They're not able to necessarily always, they just don't like being confronted or uncomfortable with the truth. And
Right.
if a question triggers something that the truth has been hidden, then you're gonna see it.
Mm-hmm.
And we just hope that you take heed. Like, it's not a accident. It's not a, oh, I'm sorry, I'm never like this. They are.
Right. And for me, I think the biggest thing for me right now is like, I don't know the word for it. I guess the best way to put it is like raising awareness for, I went through 5, 6 years of abuse with my daughter's father, and I was able to escape that and find freedom in 2015. Um, and I thought at that point, I know the signs now. I'll never, and I will, the golden words, I will never end up like that again. And then 10 years, 2016, 2015, 8 years later, I found myself right back in it. And so for me, it's important, like, you can't let your guard down. And that's sad that that is the way that it is. But I found myself, I wouldn't say that it was worse than Callie's dad, my daughter's dad. Um, but it was a level of, I think, betrayal for me that I don't think I had experienced before. Because when you heal from an abusive relationship and you go on and you're living your life and you're doing okay, and then it kind of hits a little deeper when you think you're okay, and then bam, this comes out of left field, and you're like, well, I thought I was past this.
Yeah. So before we get to the ex-fiance, we got to back up and talk
Mm-hmm.
about your daughter's father.
Yes.
All right. So we know that he came out of jail, but your friend advocates for him. He's a good guy. You should get to know him, and you do. You get to know
Yes.
him. So, prior to the very first time that he comes home plastered and starts throwing you around, you're you're not pregnant then, right?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay. So, have you seen him drink, or did y'all ever have conversations about alcohol prior to that night?
Yeah, we had drank together. I'm not scared to say it. I was a terrible drug addict for almost 10 years of my life. I drugged my son through the mud of that. Um, and so we used cocaine together. He would be the first person that exposed me to meth. And that was my drug of choice. At 22. So it was Christmas Eve of 2022. I mean, not 2022, Christmas Eve of 2012. And then he would abuse me for the first time, like right after New Year's of 2013.
So everything up until that moment, had you did say like y'all would raise your voices, you would be yelling, you would be arguing, and you knew that that wasn't right. It was
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. It didn't feel like love. But did you ever feel like you were in danger, or did you just feel like, I don't like this? I'd rather not deal with this, but I'm not really thinking that my life is at risk right now.
I didn't really think that I was in danger, but I think that he is a classic, I mean, abuser where he just sucked me in. And I was so young. I was 20, 21 years old.
How old
And
is
this
he
was,
at the time?
he was 29.
Do you see why I be asking these questions?
Yep.
Ah, I knew it. I knew it. Oh my
And so in
gosh.
my head, I'm like, he's older than me. He's wiser than me. He's been married. He knows how this works. So what he says is what I should listen to. And I did. And I mean, it was like, here's his hands and just feeding me. And I fed. And there was nothing that anybody could tell me. There was nothing that my mom could say or my dad could say. And this was even before because my parents were like, well, it's weird that y'all are moving. Like my parents tried to point things out to me. And I was like, no, I mean, this is perfect.
Yep. How long did y'all move in together after y'all met?
3 months.
Okay. So you had
And my
just had
mom
your
didn't know.
son.
Yeah, my son was, I think, about 6 months old when I moved
Okay.
in with him.
Okay.
And he stayed at home with him while I went to work.
The
And I just
perfect.
thought that was perfect. I
Yep.
thought that was perfect.
Did he work though? Did he have a job?
Yeah, he eventually, yes, he did eventually get a job, and he did work, but he struggled to hold on to any job. And then he'd lose a job and he'd decide he wanted to go to school. And so then he'd go to school and then he'd quit.
Instability.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's another sign. Like their their work history is it's inconsistent, or they can't keep a job, or that's a sign that it's not it's not always the employers.
Right.
It's what's the common denominator. And if we can start looking at these different things that might not seem as much of a big deal and say what's the common denominator, and it constantly points back to the person, just walk away.
Hmm.
There's no reason to try to convince yourself to figure it out. There's nothing to figure out.
In fact, can you send me your resume before we go on our first date?
Can we? I just need to see your employment history. Why is there a gap right here between 2011 and 2015? What were you doing? Please tell me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I knew he was older. I
Mhm.
just last week episode was the exact same, and I, because I'm a school teacher and I see the girls now, they don't get it. And I can remember me not getting it. I don't think I liked having the attention, but I never dated anyone who was several
Mhm.
years older than me. But even working at, like, when I first got my first job in high school and at the beginning of college, I worked at Foot Locker and Kids Foot Locker, and there would be guys who were way older showing interest. And in me, I was like, oh, he thinks I'm, cute and
Mhm.
mature enough to show. It's no. Just no,
Right.
no, because if the guy is that many years older than you and they're showing interest in you, that's a problem
Hmm.
on so many levels. Like,
Right.
why can't you just be attracted and interested in the women that are your age? Do y'all not get along? Like, do y'all not have mutual mindsets? What are we doing? And then I just want our young girls to be so safe
Right.
and realize that the attention from an older kid, older male, older man is not it's never good.
No.
It's never good.
Mm-mm.
And you're at such an impressionable, vulnerable state as a young, and we're talking 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, all of that, because apparently our prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed till we're 25 anyways. So, with all that being said, you may feel like because you're out of high school that you're more mature, and yes, you are, but you're not as mature and experienced as the craziness that's out there in this world. And there's no reason that our confidence in our self worth, in our self esteem, in our self value should be so low that we accept the attention from older guys as like a badge of honor.
Hmm.
That says a lot about them. And it's not your fault.
Right.
Let me put that out there. It is not your fault being young and somebody's attracted to you. You can't help that. But what you can help is not falling for the, oh my gosh, he's so much more mature than the boys that I deal with now. Yes, he is. And more experienced and more manipulative.
Yes.
So he's 29. You're
Hmm.
20. What'd you say? 22?
20, 21, 21, yeah.
21. You move in 3 months after you meet. Your parents are like, I don't really know if you want to do this. And you're like, no, look at all of the things. And he stays home with the boy. What? Mom, Dad, how y'all don't see this? And then, what are we, 7 months later? August to January? August to December? Not even 7 months. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4, 5 months in, he goes ham sandwich.
No, so a year and 5 months
A
in.
year and 5 months in. Okay, okay, okay. So y'all are so you move in 3 months after you meet him,
Hmm.
and for an entire year and almost a year and a half, yes, you have unhealthy arguments
Correct.
verbally, but he's never made you feel that you physically are in danger.
No. Mm-mm.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I was so, yeah. I mean, and that, by that point, by a year and 5 months in, we're planning our future.
Hmm.
We're Jace didn't have a lot to do. Jace's father, I kept Jace from his dad. I mean, let me just take my heat where I take my heat, and that
Yeah.
a lot of that had to do with I'll say his name with Jonathan. A lot of that had to do with him and just the control aspect. Now he was very controlling, but I didn't see it as
Hmm.
controlling. I
Hmm.
just saw it as, oh, he loves me and he just wants me to spend all of my time with him.
Give us
Or
an
he
example. Break that down.
so um I'm very close to my mom. I always have been. And I'd go visit my mom on the weekends because we lived about where we lived was about 30 minutes from my mom. And he'd say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna ride with you." And I just thought, "Oh, that's so sweet. He wants to come spend time." That wasn't about him wanting to see my mom or going with me. It was a control thing. I need to know what she's doing, where she's
Hmm.
going. I'll
Hmm.
never, also, I remember him saying, and I worked my little job at the bank didn't pay a whole lot of money. I think I brought home $1,200 every 2 weeks. Okay.
Hmm.
And I remember him saying, yeah, well, you need to give me, I don't even think it was that much. I don't remember, but I just remember him saying, you need to give me this much for rent and bills at the house. And I just remember after giving him whatever that amount was and then paying, um, because that was when he started working, I needed to start giving him money then because now he was paying the bills. And so I was giving him most of my paycheck and Jace obviously went to daycare. And so I had maybe had $100 left after, but I just thought, oh, well, he's being the man of the house and he's just taking care of things.
Control.
Hmm. Isolating me. There was a lot of isolation from my friends. I was
Hmm.
always had a core group of friends, and that disappeared pretty quickly within 7 to 8 months of us being together. And but it wasn't something that I noticed was happening because you're so in love and you're falling in love, and I just want to spend all my time around him. And then,
Hmm.
you know, hey, well, I'm thinking I'm gonna go hang out with so and so tonight. Well, I had this planned for us. And so it was always putting a silver lining on that control. Like, let me
Wow.
dress this control cupcake up. Let me put a cherry on top so that you don't really see what this is. And I was utterly I so when it blew my socks off that he did what he did and yelled at me the way that he yelled at me that night and threw me across the couch the way that he did, I was like, this is nuts. Like, who is this
Yeah.
person?
Yeah. I'm smiling because I love the alternate universe here.
Mhm.
In the control aspect, because a lot of times the control is exactly what it looks like and it's not dressed up. Like it's not a, oh, you can't go with your friends because I have something planned for you. It's usually just, no, you can't go.
Mhm.
And so this experience is for someone who's thinking, oh my gosh, he always plans stuff for me. He's always doing things with me. But
Mhm.
when that he's doing things with me and for me is blocking you from the people you knew before him, and they're not bad people, that's a problem.
Mhm.
Any any relationship, if you have a quality core group of friends, I think any new relationship should be able to merge healthy in a
Mhm.
healthy way into that friend group, into that family. It's not supposed to be a dissection of let's go with me and you now and they can come in when I let them. And that was a
Mhm.
lot of what I experienced. It wasn't dressed up. It was no, hang out with me. No, well, don't leave me. And I don't like to be around a lot of people. He didn't have any friends, so it was just him anyways. Well, I don't want to be alone, or no, we shouldn't let them come over because we need to get our house in order first before we invite anybody into it. And I'm just like, I miss my people.
Right.
I miss my people and I can't see them because you won't let me.
Mm-hmm.
But you were, I miss my people and I can't see them because you're always planning things to make it look like you just want to be with me, as opposed to what's really happening is I don't want you to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
Did he have any friends?
He did, and we could hang out, like they could come over. Those friends could come over, or we
Mm-hmm.
could go to those friends' houses. Um, but not my friends.
And not your friend.
Mm-mm.
The hopping in the car with you to go see your mom makes me cringe
Yeah.
because I've been there. It's like there's no reason for you. You don't love my mom like that. You're
Right,
not.
you don't even like my mom. Like, who are you trying to play with right now? My mom didn't even like you. Like, what are?
Oh my gosh. Oh, baby, yeah, let's go. I'll go with you. Please don't.
Mhm.
Actually, I would like this 30-minute peaceful ride, as a matter of fact. No, I'll go with you. I'm going with
Mhm.
you. Okay. So enough about him. So you're with your daughter's father
Mhm.
for almost a year and a half. And then he has he ever been that drunk before?
Mm-mm.
Do you have any idea what triggered him to get that wasted?
I know he was hanging out with his brother, and I remember like calling him. It's so long ago. I remember calling him and being like, "Hey, just wondering when you're coming home," because it was late. It was like midnight,
Hmm.
and he really like would never leave me for that long by myself,
Right.
like at home. And I was like, "When are you coming home?" And I just remember him like, "Stop blowing my phone up. Why are you calling me?" Da 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 da. And then, about 30 minutes later, he hits the door and loses his ever loving mind. And granted, I did call, like he wasn't answering, so I kept calling, and then he finally answered, and I was like, "When are you coming home?"
Hmm. And then he comes home.
And then he comes home. Hmm.
Does he apologize the next day?
Yes. Hmm.
I would
Yep.
never do anything like that to you, baby. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me.
It wasn't that bad. I didn't really do that. Like gaslighting me into thinking that it really wasn't that bad. Well, if you wouldn't have called me and made me so mad while I was drinking.
Please hear this, whoever's watching. Anytime someone tries to minimize the pain that you've experienced because of them, they're not going to get to a place where they take accountability or responsibility for their actions.
Mm.
It's not just this time. And then maybe, well, maybe I've seen the good side of him. I know that, or her, I know that they wouldn't do this if they weren't in this state or this condition. It doesn't, it doesn't change. They don't change
Mhm.
unless they are willing to endure some intense, long, serious therapy to handle whatever trauma and demons that they've been hiding and trying to suppress. They're not going to change.
Nope.
And if you can dismiss, and in this case, the physical pain and abuse that you've caused me when I did nothing physical to you, nor did I intentionally in a hurtful way try to trigger you to anger. Because let's be real, there's plenty of women out there who get up in people's face and try to be all big and bad, and I dare you, you wouldn't dare, blah, 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 blah. And then when it happens, you're like,
Right.
like you didn't just poke a bear and then expect it
Mhm.
to walk away. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who aren't intentionally trying to anger someone
Mm-hmm.
and dare them to snap. But then they turn around and say, I'm sorry. And in the same breath, but it wasn't that bad. If they even apologize,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to ever apologize. And they're not going to stop. It only gets worse.
Yep.
Because once they've set the baseline for I did this and she stayed, or I did this and he stayed, why even bother wasting my energy apologizing?
Mm-hmm.
And because you did say this, anyone who says I will kill you.
They mean it. Mm-hmm.
I don't care how angry they are. I don't care how drunk they are. I don't care how high they are. If those words come out of their mouth and they call themselves loving you, but they have the wherewithal and the audacity to tell that to your face, they do mean it.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, how long is it going to take for them to get there?
Yeah, when? When? Not if. When? Mm-hmm.
This is so outrageous. And your sweet boy, he's asleep at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank God. He doesn't wake up. He doesn't see this. He doesn't hear this. And then the next day, we just go back to our lives.
Yeah, he apologizes, and then I think the day, I don't know if it was the next day or the day after the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that he wasn't there. I think his parents lived like we lived on the same land.
Mm-hmm.
So his parents were just like right down the road. Um, but I know he had gone down there, and I like in that minute like packed up everything that I could fit in my Ford Taurus, got Jason his car seat, and got out
Yeah.
because I knew like this isn't normal. My parents,
Mm-hmm.
I knew, and I went to my mom's.
Did you tell her?
Oh yeah, I told her and my dad. Mhm. I always told them. There wasn't. There's never been a time. I mean, I hid my addiction
Mm-hmm.
from them a lot. Not necessarily. My mom knew a little bit more than my dad did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my mom pretty much knew a lot of what was going on. Not the full extent, but yeah, I told her. And 2 weeks later, my dad was when I got pregnant with Jace. My dad and I, it put a rift in our relationship. My dad and I were always really, really close, and I just started making decisions that were hurtful
Mm-hmm.
and to him, and so he was there for me a lot financially. And I'm so appreciative of that. Like we wouldn't have made it through. And I now realize looking back that a lot the reason that he distanced himself so much was because the choices that I made were hurting him, like at the end
Yeah.
of the day. And I'm so thankful for our relationship now. It's incredible. But so my mom helped me move in. My dad footed the financial bill and moved me and Jason to an apartment downtown. I was working a little job at Sam's Town from 3 to 11 in the evenings. And so they helped me find a daycare that would keep Jace at that time. And I did. That was more towards like February of 2013. And
Mm-hmm.
I was good without Jonathan. I think I stayed away from him for about 3 months
Mm-hmm.
and then picked up a call. I picked up a phone call.
I feel like I'm just redundant and repetitive, but they're just so good.
Yeah.
And they can be so patient with it's almost like a cat that catches a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's almost dead, but it's not dead, they still play with it. when they
Mhm.
could easily just end his life or walk away. They just still play with it. They have the patience and the joy to find pleasure in that. And so, like, I learned from my own experience that, like, if you're able to walk away and you don't have to communicate, don't communicate.
Mhm.
There's no apology that's going to undo what was done. There's no apology that's going to, it can convince you, but there's no apology that's going to stand 10 toes down on the fact that they're not going to do it again,
Mhm.
because all they need to do is maintain enough self-control for a long enough time to get you back in the door.
Mhm.
So you have your own place. He's calling, he's reaching out to you for 3 months.
Mhm.
And instead of just blocking his number, you just ignore the calls until one day you don't.
Mhm.
What does he say that makes you like, I could give him another chance?
I love you. I'm so sorry. I haven't been drinking. I'm not going to drink anymore. I miss you. I don't know how to live without you and Jace. Um, I promise I'll get better. I won't, just all the things. And because this was not an apology I had heard, this is the first apology that
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard all of these things from him. And I've never been in a situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
I suckered because I feel like I'm not going to feel the way that I feel about him about anybody else. I'm
Yeah.
not, and I can give him another chance because people do change and
Mm-hmm.
people do try to get better. And I so wish looking back now that I'd have just had a conversation with his ex wife.
Yeah.
But would I have believed her?
Nope.
You know?
No.
And I let him back in. And it was good. We were doing meth together occasionally
Mm-hmm.
and but we didn't really on the occasional meth we didn't it really made us like get along even better in some weird way. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not eventually it didn't, but and we did good for a while. Like he moved into my apartments with me. My mom ended up catching him up over there, and then my mom didn't talk for several months because I'd hid it from her. um it was okay. He went back to school. He was doing his mechanic work, and it was like that first year together again. And I'm like, he really got better.
Mm-hmm.
I find out I'm pregnant with Callie
Mm-hmm.
in March of 2014. Well, I get pregnant with Callie in March of 2014. A few weeks later, I found out I'm pregnant with her, probably in April at some point in time. And up until this point, he really hadn't been drinking. We'd
Mm-hmm.
argued, but he hadn't abused me. Like it was good, or what I thought was good. And then I don't know what triggered it, but on I think around May 5th of 2014, he had gone to school that day. It was like they were celebrating the last day of school, so they all got alcohol to sit after school and drink. And
Cinco de Mayo.
or that, yeah, there we go, that too. They drank, I had called him, and I knew when I called him that he was drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said, "All I know is you better be at that mother apartment when I get home." And I thought, why is he? This is crazy. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be at this apartment. But I went down to my friend's apartment, and then I wasn't at the apartment when he got home, and then he lost it. So when I did come through the door with Jace, he ended up slinging Jace across Jace's bedroom, and Jace is just barely 4 at this time. Um, I remember he like grabbed me by my neck and pushed me down on the couch and told me, if you ever try to leave me, I'll beat you to death. I'll kill you. Slung me around some, pushed me around. Um, and I just remember thinking, like, if I can just get him out of the apartment, like, if I can just say something to make him mad enough to get him out of the apartment, like, just, and I don't know what I said, but I just started going back off on him. And eventually, like, it got him mad enough that he left. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember just grabbing Jace, grabbing a bag of clothes, and running to my friend's apartment, and her locking the door and her calling the police. And yeah, and the police looked for him for the rest of their shift, but he had ran off, like they couldn't find him. And they advised me to go somewhere where he could not find me. And so I don't know where Jace's dad came and got Jace. And I went to a hotel in
Mm-hmm.
downtown Shreveport, close to my apartment. But um, and I'll never forget like being in that hotel room and being on my phone. And I'm pregnant with my daughter, barely 2 months pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and Googling ways to miscarry her.
Oh my goodness.
Because how can this be? We had talked about getting pregnant for a while, and we honestly didn't think that we were going to be able to. And so when I got pregnant, it was like, oh my gosh, this is the miracle we've been praying for. Like, this is confirmation from God that we're supposed to be together. In my head, that's when I made it. And now I'm
Mhm.
pregnant. Now I have to stick it out with him. And so I obviously got back together with him very shortly after all of that. And I would use meth several times when I was pregnant with Callie. And the abuse would get consistently worse when I was pregnant with her. And it's only by the grace of God and God's goodness and mercy in my life that she was born perfectly healthy 9 months later on December 4th. But what a, still to this day, I'm like, this was the daughter that he always wanted. This was the daughter that he always wanted. And you're literally trying to kill me the entire time that I'm pregnant with her. It's
Yeah. The first time when you called the police and they looked for him until their shift was over, did they not put a warrant out for his arrest?
no,
So you reported physical abuse.
because they wanted to talk to him. They wanted to get his side of the story. And what's funny is in December of 2013, he robbed a game exchange and he got away with it. And I knew about it. And that would be my card. That would be my ticket out. I didn't realize it at the time when I
Mm-hmm.
held this information for a year and a half that was eventually my ticket to safety, but it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I'll never forget when I eventually went in and reported the armed robbery
Mm-hmm.
in I think February of 2016. Um, that these detectives said, well, we have a report from May of 2014, and nobody ever followed up on it. Like the investigator tried to call him, and then it just got. And I will preach this to our justice system is broken when it comes to protecting men and women and children who are victims of any type of abuse. And then they wonder, why didn't you say something sooner? Why didn't you report that your boyfriend, sometimes makes you upset? Why didn't you do? Because they won't listen. Because they don't do anything. And then they offer them a sweet plea deal of 3 years probation so they can get out and abuse you some more. I mean, there's a case in the Caddo and Bossier courts right now of this guy. I'll say his name, John Russell, and he's a well-known dentist, and he has beat the dog crap out of a woman. And there's Gwen's Law for a reason. They didn't hold him on Gwen's Law. He got to bond out within, and there was supposed to be a 72-hour hold. And why are prominent people above the law? And that is why you have men and women and children that get killed. And we end up in murder, suicide, homicide things because our justice system doesn't hold them accountable.
At all.
Mhm.
You call the police, you file a report. You don't even get an opportunity to press charges because they want to hear his side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
After he's been physically abusive,
Mm-hmm.
are there marks or anything on
Mm-hmm.
you?
Mm-hmm. And
And
on my
so,
son.
and on your son.
Mm-hmm.
But because the officers on duty went
Mm-hmm.
off duty, nobody puts up a warrant for his arrest.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Now you feel trapped
Mm-hmm.
because you're carrying his child.
Mm-hmm. But I still believe he can get better.
And the duality of it is that you believe he can get better.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try because he said he wanted her.
Yeah.
But the entire pregnancy, he's abusing you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever bring up during the pregnancy and the abuse, you're going to hurt the baby?
Yeah, I'm sure that I did. I'm sure that I did.
It amazes me how they have such a distorted sense of self divinity or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
that they truly have convinced themselves to think that I can abuse the mother of the child carrying the child and the child won't be damaged.
Mm-hmm.
I experienced abuse when I was pregnant both times. I remember one time, and this wasn't even abuse, it was just neglect and just stupid. We were walking the neighborhood and I said something that I didn't know was going to upset him. Aren't they so we're so sensitive, right? But they're so sensitive. So
Mm-hmm.
I said something that I had no idea would upset him, and it upsets him. I'm having like very pregnant at the time, and he just runs off. Like he runs off and he goes home. So now I'm walking in this neighborhood where I don't really know everybody anyways. And then I finally get home and I'm like, you just left me. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you left me and your child. Well, I didn't leave my child. I just left you. The child is inside of me or in the stroller.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it just, and I know that we can't possibly understand their thinking,
No.
but it just it baffles me to such a great extent that you can say you want this child, but you're okay with
Mm-hmm.
abusing the mother of the child while the child is still inside of her, or while the child is nursing on her, or while she's holding like I don't, and it's
All the
not
time.
for us to wrap our
Mm-hmm.
minds around. But so for
Yep.
9 months you're being abused worse and worse and worse,
Mm-hmm.
and you're still together when you give birth to her.
Mm-hmm.
He's at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel at the hospital? Before you answer that question, did they pull you into the bathroom by yourself and ask you if you were ever being abused or anything like that?
No. It was a scheduled induction.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure in my prenatal appointments they did. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
that they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was probably like, no,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, and he was on crutches at the time when I got induced because a few days before I got induced, um, he went to attack me and ended up like hitting his foot on a hard surface and like fractured his foot. And so he was on crutches when I got induced. Mm-hmm. And we had to come up with a story like, oh, how did you fracture your foot? Like I fell or he fell or whatever, or not. Oh no, he was chasing after me to try and choke the life out of me. And he hit his foot and fractured it.
Did he choke you while you were pregnant?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's supposed to be here. Your
Mm-hmm.
daughter is supposed to be here because you're cutting off blood supply and oxygen to my child,
Mm-hmm.
not just me.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I asked if they asked you that question, I was induced my second pregnancy, and them jokers they just weren't coming out. Obviously, they just was like, we gonna chill out. So we scheduled an induction, and neither time that I gave birth did I didn't feel unsafe, but I didn't feel comfortable with him. Like I didn't feel like I could lean on him, like I could depend on him through
Right.
this moment. So they take me into he's in the room with me, and they take me into the bathroom. They're helping me put on monitors and stuff and change the clothes, and she asks me in there if he's like, and I guess this is protocol. I don't remember them asking this for my first delivery, but that wasn't induced. That was, oh, my water broke, let's go. So she asked me, is he abusive? Have you ever been abused or blah 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 blah? And I lie. And I say no because I'm like, I don't want to ruin this happy day for him. And I don't want to be the reason he goes like what I was so afraid of what they would do if I told the truth.
Right.
Like, do you kick him out of the hospital? And then if you kick him out of the hospital, because he hadn't abused me that day or that week, so there's no physical signs of it. Like, what
Right.
happens, And it's, do you just make him upset so that when I do come home, he's just gonna be there festering for 2-3 days and waiting?
Right.
I don't. So I lied and I said no. And then we go in there and we have the babies, and it, of course, doesn't stop.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't stop. So you give birth, and he's on crutches because he literally just hurt himself trying to hurt you.
Right. Yeah.
I hated having to lie about stuff that was the result of his actions.
Right.
Why is the chair broken? I hated people asking why the chair was broken.
Why's your window cracked? Why's your side mirror busted?
Things happen, okay? No, no, they don't. Just, and we get it. We get that it's hard in the moment to be honest about it because you can be judged. You don't know if you still holding on to the hope that they're going to change, even though they're not. You're still holding on to the hope that they're going to change. You're not ready for other people to get involved in this. Because my thing was two things. I didn't want you to get involved so that now not only do I have to manage his emotions, my emotions, I've got to manage your emotions to
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you actually love me and someone's abusing me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the capacity for that. Two, I don't want you to try to defend me and you get hurt in the process.
Right.
People want to know why people don't tell the truth. And there are so many reasons.
I'd, for me with Jonathan, it was I wanted people to think that it was okay. I wanted everybody to think that it was perfect, that there was
Mhm.
nothing going on.
Yeah.
Of course, my mom always saw right through that because
Yeah.
she knew from the beginning. Um, and I think with the second relationship, um, it was more of a shame thing for me. Like, how
Yeah.
did I get myself back here?
Yeah.
But I wanted the appearance of perfect. We have that perfect Facebook and Instagram life that you see all these other people, and I want you to think that it's perfect. And here we are, this beautiful blended family.
Yes.
We love each other so much.
Yes. And
And I
he's just
finally got my happily ever after to all of you out there. It's living hell in here, but curb appeal. I've got curb appeal.
everything you just said.
Hmm.
Yes. 100 times yes. I absolutely did the same thing.
And almost and for me, was it on at that point in time, was it a denial? If I can make it look like this to everyone else, then I can somewhat like I live in this world of denial that it's
Hmm.
not really like this. This isn't going on, and I can keep pulling the blanket of hope over this.
Yeah.
He's going to get better. This is going to change.
Yep.
I'm going to have the life that everybody else has and that they're putting on their Facebooks and
Yeah.
Instagrams.
I'm
And
going to
that's
make it work.
sad. Mhm.
I'm going to make it work. And I think that marriage should be work, but you shouldn't have to make it work. It's
Right.
going to be work,
Mhm.
but you shouldn't have to make it work.
Right.
So how long were you with Callie's father
We were
before you were
together
like
from 2010, August of 2010, and we officially split up in December of 2015.
5 years?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it just kept getting worse.
It just kept getting worse, especially in the last year of it. And I guess the first year of Callie's life, we turned into everyday meth users, so that didn't help. Um, and it in that period of time, a couple weeks after Callie was born, I wanted to go see my mom, and he got so like skitzed out, and thought that I don't know what he thought I was going to do, but held me hostage at gunpoint for 2.5 hours, and wouldn't let me leave. His dad had to come home. We were living with his parents at the time, and his dad had to come home and like talk him down. Um, then eventually, a month or so after that, we moved into our own home,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it just got worse. There was a lot of abuse that he was doing to Jace physically that I wasn't aware of and didn't learn until Jace eventually would go through play therapy, and I would be talked to about all of it. He never abused Callie, I mean, except for when I was pregnant with her. But he
Right.
never abused her like as a baby. Um, and I remember we had gotten sober. I'll never forget one day he threw a rock at my car. He shot a gun off. Jace ran to the door and said, "Did you shoot my mommy?" Jace was 4 or 5.
Oh
This was
gosh.
all in that span of that last year together. Threw my keys into the woods so I couldn't leave. Couldn't find my keys. Um, then I'll never straw that broke the camel's back. The last time, well, it wasn't the last time. He would abuse me one more time after this, but the last bad time, um, he chased me around the house for like 2.5 hours. Um, that was the first time he would hit me in the face. He broke my nose. His dad had to come over. His dad wanted me to go to the hospital, and I was like, "No, I'm not going to the hospital. If I go to the hospital, they're going to know that he abused me. Then CPS is going to come in because my of the kids, and I'm not, And it was just always an excuse on top of an excuse. We ended up getting clean or sober for about a month in July of 2015, and then On my birthday, I was like, oh, I've been sober for a month. Let me go drink. Let me go get high. And so we did, and I ended up being able to go with friends to a bar, which was unheard of, but he said I could, and I was like, you never say I can, so I'm going to take advantage of this. And I'll never forget sitting at the bar and getting a call from Caddo Sheriff's Department and then saying, ma'am, your fiance is at the house. He's saying that you're trying to like hack into his stuff. I'm at a bar with friends. I'm not worried about his stuff at that point. And he's threatening to kill you, kill the kids, and he's got himself barricaded in the home. We need you to meet us at Brookshire's, and we're going to escort you out to the home. And I did, and I got out there, and several of the sheriffs that showed up were his friends. And I mean, the time before this time, the bad time in July, the worst time that he abused me, I remember calling the sheriffs and giving them my address and just immediately putting the phone down. And nobody ever showed up at my house. And nobody. And so it was shocking to me that sheriffs even showed up this time. But a couple of them were his friends, and they said, well, Christina, you need to get your kids and pack a bag and you need to leave. They let him stay. And I've had to pack my kids up at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and leave. And the next day I went and filed a protective order.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to unpack.
Yes.
But let's just take this carry on for a second. You get a call from the sheriff's department that your person is at y'all's home with your kids, barricading himself and threatening to take your life and the kids' lives.
And his own.
And his own. You get escorted there. Multiple sheriffs are in tow. Some
Playing soccer with my son in the front yard.
You're told at 10:30 at night to pack your things and go. And they leave a man who has verbally to them threatened your life, his life, and the kids' lives to stay at home. People wonder why. You didn't even call this time. Like, I just need people to wrap their mind around this. You didn't make the call. You were called by the police. So apparently he was excessively disorderly. Somebody called the police on him, perhaps. Or
no, I think he called the sheriffs.
He called the sheriffs.
He called the sheriffs and said I was trying to hack into his stuff.
They show up and he's threatening everybody's life. And they let him stay.
Yeah, it was his friends. Several of the deputies that showed up were his friends in high school. Small town. Well, it's kind of parish in a small parish, but Blanchard is a small town. This is the same sheriff's department that a month prior to this, when he chased me around the home for 2.5 hours and shot guns off at me, and I called and I just said, I need y'all to come to 8059 North or whatever. No, that was 5928 North Market Street. Please come now. Put the phone down. No sheriffs ever showed up. Nobody ever showed up for me with him. Time after time after time, I was ignored by the Shreveport Police Department. I was ignored by the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Department. They have redeemed themselves now, okay? But then
I can't imagine the level of fear and anxiety Because when you're telling me this the first time, all I see is the wide open African plains and a lion just chasing a zebra until the zebra gets too tired to run anymore.
Mm-hmm.
2.5 hours is absolute insanity
Mm-hmm.
for anyone to be running in fear of their life, especially in a confined space.
Yeah, around outside, around the house, in the house. I'd get in the car. He'd come to the car with a gun, threaten to. I mean, it was terrible. I remember running because our house sat kind of back off a main highway, Highway One. The house isn't there anymore. I'll never forget how good I felt when that house got torn down, but because it was where I suffered the worst abuse of my life. And I remember running out to the road that day. I'm in a shirt, a t-shirt and panties, trying to flag people down that are passing by because at that point my phone was broken. He had thrown it. I remember a guy on the tractor in the field behind our house and me trying to, and nobody came. Nobody cared. People put on their blinders and say, I'm going to mind my business and I'm not going to say anything. But you'll comment on your food not being hot or cold enough at a restaurant, but you won't participate in trying to help save somebody's life.
Girl, and leave a whole one
Right.
star
You'll go
review.
on Google
If
and leave
I
a
could
one.
leave 0 stars, I
Right.
would.
You'll mind that business, but you won't mind the business of saving somebody's life. And that's sad. It's the world that we live in.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were running until he just passed out.
His dad showed up.
His dad shows up this time.
Mm-hmm. And that's when his dad was like, Christina, you need to go to the hospital. I think
Hmm.
your jaw's broken. Your face is really swollen. He's like trying to put frozen peas on my face. And I will never forget Jonathan standing in the background going, and I'm going to cuss right here, him saying, yeah, that bitch got what she deserved. That bitch got what she deserved, and she can get it again. That's what she gets for running her mouth, for not knowing when to shut the hell up.
And his dad doesn't call the police on him?
Because I told his dad not to. I begged his dad not to.
Because you begged his dad not to.
Mm-hmm.
God. And I could imagine doing the same thing. Please don't call the police. Because in all honesty, prison isn't going to help him. It saves you and the kids for however
Mm-hmm.
long he's there if they do actually put him
Mm-hmm.
in jail. But it's not going to help him get the help he needs.
No.
It's going to tear him away from his family. Like all of these thoughts I'm hearing going through your mind as to why you're saying, please don't call the police. It's
For
not that he
me,
doesn't deserve it
the biggest thing was I was so scared of Child Protective Services coming in and taking my children.
and taking your babies.
And I mean, they ended up a month later when all that happened with the sheriffs. They did send it over to Child Protect. They did do that much. Send
They
it over.
sent you to CPS, but they didn't send him to jail?
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. I filed a protective order the next day. They got him out of the house. CPS showed up a few days later, and we ended up in family preservation court together. So we're in protective order court together, but we're also in family preservation court together. And I'm a dummy, a couple weeks after that, the protective order's in place, and I'm like, I can't live without you. And I let him back in, and I ended up pregnant for the third time. And um, I knew, I knew when I got pregnant with her that I could not have another child in the chaos that was and in the shambles that my life was in, and I could not continue to stay trapped. And
Hmm.
so it was an easy decision for me to come to, and I placed her for adoption, and she has a beautiful, wonderful life, and she'll be
Wow.
10 this year, and it's an open adoption, and I get to see her and talk to. It's less now for me. It's very painful now that I'm at a stable place in my life,
Mm-hmm.
because now my life is okay and my life is good and it's beautiful, and I think, oh, now I could do it, you
Yeah.
know. Um but he would abuse me for the last time in November of 2015,
While you're
and
pregnant again.
while I'm pregnant again. And then in December of 2015, shortly after I'd been able to choose the family and stuff, they assist financially when you're pregnant, when
Mm-hmm.
you choose adoption. And so I was able to get into my own little place with me and Jace and Callie, um and that was that. And then the physical abuse that Jace had suffered had come out. I ended up finding out that I had cancerous cells that couldn't nothing could be done about them until after I delivered Kella. And then I found out there was a whole, I mean, he had cheated a lot. And his mom had covered all of it. There was just so much that came out. And so hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And I went to the Shreveport Police Department in early February of 2016, and I said, this is what he did. This is how much money he took. I know because I counted the money. This is what it was spent on. This is what kind of jacket he had on. This is an hour and a half in that police station. And that's when they told me about the report that never got checked up on. And at the time, he'd been put in jail in January for contempt of court for our drug court stuff. He wasn't showing up. He wasn't going. And so they went and rebooked him on armed robbery. And he was eventually sentenced to 8.5 years.
How much money did he steal?
$636, $642, something like that.
I didn't want to ask that question, but I want. Ooh.
And some games, some GTA, little Madden 2014 or whatever. 2013, I don't know, whatever.
So maybe $1,000 worth of stuff.
Maybe.
Maybe if he stole a lot of games, because they're about $50,
Mhm.
$60 a game,
Mhm.
which means you got to steal at least
Mhm.
8 to
And
add up
they
the
had
cost.
the police dead end. Like, they had a license plate number, but the numbers were switched. And so it took them to some guy's car, and they ended up searching this guy's house and his car, and they didn't find anything. And they had no more leads. And so when I came in and I said, this is this person, they were like, well, what kind of jacket is that he has on? That's a South Pole jacket. What did he do with it? He put it in a barrel and he burned it.
They arrested him
Mm-hmm.
and sent him to jail for $600 in video games
Mm-hmm.
and waving a gun around and not discharging it.
Mm-hmm.
But when he beat you, when he called the police,
Mm-hmm.
then threatened to kill you and several other people, when
This
you
is,
called the police
mm-hmm.
and filed a report,
They redeemed themselves. I will give this to the DA at the time. The DA was a young guy. And whenever so Jonathan had been arrested on a violation of a protective order in that August of 2015, because my mom had showed up at the house and called him there. So she called the cops. Anyways, and so I went to the DA and I like begged his case, okay? And so they dropped it. And so, he's pregnant. I'm pregnant again. We're in drug court. Gave him the whole spill. And I, wrote a statement down that I had invited him there. I had brought him. Anyways, so I remember having a conversation with the DA months after he had been arrested for the armed robbery. And by that point, the DA knew a lot of, he had seen the statements that I wrote for my protective order. He had seen police reports and things along that line. because the sheriff still had to have a report from the night that they didn't take him to jail. And at that point in time, these people committing armed robbery for the first time, they were only getting like a couple years in probation. Jonathan didn't have any major charges. He had only had a misdemeanor for marijuana. He was not a felon. And they threw the book at him. And I'll never forget the DA saying that he had a candid conversation with me. The reason they threw the book at him was because that DA wanted him to serve time for what he had done to me and my son.
Okay.
So there was an underlying, and he got the book thrown at him.
Okay. Okay, Shreveport. Not the police, but the DA. Okay. I'm still angry though. But okay,
Yeah.
we'll take. No, we won't. I
I
can't.
mean, we still won't. We
I
still won't.
can't take it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
accept it. I don't accept it because had you not gone down there just because you were pissed off and told them that you knew who did the thing that they couldn't figure out, he wouldn't
No.
get anything.
Right. You're right. No, nothing would
I
have
don't
ever.
accept it. I don't. I know. Shreveport kick rocks with no shoes on
Do better.
because that's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
That's delayed justice. It's delayed injustice because it's not like you were fortunate. You called the police. They told you to leave.
Mm-hmm.
They no first they didn't. They said, "Oh well, I'm off the case. I'm off the clock, so I'm not going to follow up on this."
Mm-hmm.
The second time it's brought to their attention, they tell you to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Your life and your children's could be ended.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. I don't accept. DA, thank you. I get what you're trying to do, but that's still unacceptable because you failed this woman and her children for years.
Years.
And she's just blessed enough to still be here to share her story.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, I'm so pissed.
But but the saddest thing is, I'm not the only woman in this parish or in this city that has suffered, that has reported, that has been not believed, that has had charges dropped. I'm not. A lot. It blows my mind that there's kind of this old, I don't know the word for it, this age old moral code. You protect women and children. Do you really?
Nope, they don't. Otherwise, my Facebook feed wouldn't be flooding my timeline every other day with the rest in heaven, bless her
Right.
heart. They didn't deserve this post.
Mm-hmm.
They don't protect women and children. I
No.
was just messaging someone who wants to have an episode, and I was just saying because she was asking, she said, well, will I need to dilute the conversation? I'm like, no, because we live in a society in a country where the preservation of the very people who literally give life to every person
Yeah.
is overlooked
Mm-hmm.
and dismissed. So no, boo, you say exactly what you need to say, how you need to say it, and with whatever energy and attitude you need to say it with.
Right.
No, Shreveport, I have choice words for you that shall remain in my head. But no, this is not good enough.
Mm-mm.
But thank you, district attorney at the time. God,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, whoo, got to be more careful. God is good. God is
Yes.
good.
Yes. Yes.
And
I
one
mean, I
thing we
mean,
can say.
there's more. I'll make you mad again at Shreveport here. Here in just a couple more years.
So, so 5 years. How long do you go? That was 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you said about 8 years in between that experience. It's you and your beautiful babies learning life as a triplet of love and joy and a beautiful experience and environment.
I would love to say that. There were a couple
Dang
of
it.
years. There were a couple of years that were good. But I really, really got lost in my addiction.
Wow.
Um, in 2017, I was sexually assaulted by a man in my room of my bedroom of my own home. My kids
What?
weren't there. Yeah. It was a friend's, my good friend's friend. I didn't know. I mean, I had never met him before that night, but he came over. It was just the four of us. We were all hanging out. And I had taken a lot of Xanax, a lot of Klonopin, and I had passed out. And there's actually like a video of me, and I still have the video where you can clearly tell I'm not like conscious, you know. Um, and all I remember about that night was him coming in. I woke up and he was in the bed beside me, whispering something to me. I blacked back out. I woke up. He was on top of me. I blacked back out. He was running out of the room. And when I went to, report, so then the next, immediately after that happens, I drive around for like, I leave my house. I drive around for 2 hours trying to figure out where to go. I tried and figure out where my best friend's house is, even though they live like 5 minutes away. But I was so messed up. Shouldn't have been driving.
Wait, though, because all of y'all were there at one point.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
weren't there when you woke up.
they were downstairs.
And did
And I
you?
remember telling my friend that was there, something's happened. And I wouldn't say the words, but like something happened that I didn't want to happen, and I need to get out of here. Because that was my MO. Like if I'm in a situation that I don't like, I need to escape. I'm flighting. Okay.
Mhm.
If we're in survival mode, I'm running. And
So they stay at your house while you go out driving.
eventually I get to my friend's house, and he gets in the car, and I have a voice record because I'm talking to another friend on Messenger, and I still have that voice record, um and I say, I was in my bedroom and this guy came up there, and I don't know what happened, but I didn't want it to happen. And you can just hear me breaking in this
Yeah.
voice clip. And so then that friend that whose house I make it to, he gets me over to my other friend's house where I can get high because I wanted to do meth to try and fix it. And everybody's encouraging me to go report it. So I go to the hospital. A friend meets me there. They do the kit. They, of course, drug test me, all of that. And I'll never forget, a couple days later, I go in to talk to the detective because this was Labor Day weekend. So this happened on like a Saturday. So I didn't get in to talk to the detective until like Tuesday or something. And he was the most judgmental. Why in the world they have women talk who have been sexually assaulted talking to male detectives is beyond me. It's crazy. It makes no sense. If your department is doing that, do better. We don't want to talk to a man. I don't, I don't. I didn't. And he was so judgmental and he was so mean. And I could tell he didn't believe me. And then I'll never forget, like a week later, he calls me and he's like, I really think that you're lying and if I find out you're lying, I'm going to arrest you for perjury. And you tested positive for meth. And I said, well, sir, I did the meth after the assault. I said, because had I done the meth before the assault, I would remember, like it wouldn't have happened, bud, because I'd have been awake to say no. Like, what are we, you know, whatever. The dude ends up going to jail. He gets picked up on something else, and they finally, 6 months later, get a warrant for his DNA. And
What?
2 plus 2, that matches to what's inside of me. He's charged with third-degree rape, and then they give him a sweet plea deal of felony obscenity.
The heck is felony obscenity?
It's not, you don't even have to register as a sex offender. I don't really know what it is, but when the DA and victims advocate called me into their office to meet about all this, they said that they had 3 other statements. of the three other people that were at the house that I had said that I wanted to have sex with him.
The people you call friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That were his friends too. Obviously, his friends more than mine. Mm. And I remember this is how I know that I never said that, because I remember him getting there, and no offense that I don't care if I offend the guy. I remember him getting there and looking at him and being like, "That dude is, excuse my language, that dude is ugly, bro. Like I would never. He is so. Why did y'all bring? I remember thinking this. Why did y'all bring this ugly dude to my house?" And I remember saying to my friend that was my girlfriend that was there, "I hope y'all want." Oh, you know. So I wouldn't have. But this man came into my room, and these people at my house allowed him to come upstairs. And I don't care, like, if you can't say yes or no, if you're messed up on Klonopins or Xanax or drinking or whatever, you don't have the legal capacity. The law says in Louisiana, you don't have the legal capacity to consent. Mm-hmm. So that sends me down a spiral, and I get into a relationship with a guy who was actually very nice to me. And then he was really an okay dude. And then that ends, and I get into another relationship where we're just both high all the time, and it was just toxic, and we were both abusive towards each other. That I just chalk that up to drugs. And then that ended, and I went to rehab and in 2019, and I got better, and I got my kids back, and we went to a women's home, and God just really redeemed and restored my life. And I lived in Monroe for about a year and a half, and it was beautiful and wonderful. And then I moved back to Shreveport to be with my mom. She had kind of had a health scare. And so that was in 2020. And then in August of 2022, I would meet Lander, my ex fiance. And he had tattoos, but he didn't have felonies, because I love a man with tattoos and felonies. I don't know what it is, but he didn't have any felonies. And he
She said he
worked.
had the tats, but
He had
not the
he worked to go.
felonies.
He was oil filled, and he had a nice truck.
Wow.
And he thought that I was the most perfect thing. He was young. He was 20, 24, almost 25 when we met. I was 30, 32, 33. And it was beautiful, and it was wonderful for a while. And I still have spent a lot of time in shame and guilt. He paid for everything. He wasn't controlling, though. He didn't tell me where I could go, who I could be with. There was none of that. Um, our first date, I did see vodka bottles in his truck, but I was like, that doesn't have to mean anything. Rose
Where's
colored.
my flag? Where's my flag?
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy me one of these.
But he hadn't just got out of jail. In fact, like, he really, I don't think had ever been to jail. Yeah. And I just think that this is perfect, and he's wonderful. And I move in with him pretty quickly after we meet in November of 2022. And it was good for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um he paid all the bills. I mean, it was just like I felt like everything that I had prayed to God for, I was given
Yeah.
with him. But the devil comes disguised as anything that you want.
Girl, say it for the people
And
in
when I
the
say my
chat.
prayers out loud, the devil hears them. And so the
God
devil knew what I was looking for
dang.
too. He said, I can't get her to go back on drugs. I can't get her to screw her life up like that again. So here's this man. And he was an addict, and he had about a year and a half clean to my 5 year, 4 years, 3 years at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he relapsed in May of 2023. And I said, we can work through this. We can get through this. And he continued to relapse all summer. And then I ended up putting him in rehab and sticking by him. He got better. He proposed on Christmas Eve of 2023. And for the next 9 months, I planned a wedding. He worked out of town a lot, so like that was nice for me because I enjoy my alone time, and so for me that was a
Yes.
plus. Of the like, I missed him when he was gone, but I was like, this is great. Like he's
Yes.
paying all the bills. I get to enjoy all these bills paid in peace. Okay, like I love you, but and
He,
he yelled. He was a yeller, but I was like, if that's all that's wrong with him is that he has a temper and he drinks sometimes, that's really I'm winning, you know.
our
But he
stance.
struggled. He struggled with alcohol. He
Mhm.
struggled with substance abuse and with steroids. And that all came to a head in 46 days before our wedding, in, in September 10th of 2024. And he got pretty plastered and had a conversation with his mom where he was trying to talk about childhood trauma. And she blew him off. Why don't you just get over it? Why don't you just move past it? And one thing I know is that if either of my children ever come to me about the trauma that I've caused them, and I can clearly hear that they're in a mental health crisis,
Yeah.
I'm not going to blow them off.
No.
And I wasn't perfect. I don't want to sit here and act like with Lander that I was perfect. There were moments because of the things that I've been through that I would, well, let me see how far I can push him if he will put his hands on me. And he
Hmm.
never did. There was never a time that he did because there were moments that I was imperfect and I pushed those buttons.
Hmm.
But that night, his mom set him off, and then he wanted me to drive him to the liquor store to get more liquor. And I said, you don't need any more liquor. I'm not taking you up there. You need to just lay down for the night. And when I wouldn't take him, he slung me across the room, and then he just yelled. I remember him yelling for hours upon hours that night. He was threatening to beat the guy at the gas station up because the guy wouldn't sell liquor to him. I have texts from my kids like, Mom, are you okay? What's going on, Mom? What
Oh
did
my
he just
God.
do to you? And both of them are aware and old enough to know what's happening. And all I kept thinking is, Lord, don't let my 14-year-old son come in here and try to defend me and get in the middle of this. And so he walks back in the room at one point in time. This was probably about, I don't know, it was after midnight. And he says, if I had a gun right now, I'd shoot myself. And I said, well, at least if you did that, you'd be quiet because I was sick of hearing him yell.
Yeah.
And that set him off. And he strangled me in a way that I had never been strangled previously before. Um, lost consciousness, all that. And eventually he went to sleep. And I just remember it being 2 something in the morning and texting my boss and texting my best friend because I knew that if I didn't text them right then and there, that I would have gotten up the next morning and gone to work and act like nothing had ever happened.
Hmm.
And I texted them and I said, I need help. And I went to work the next morning and they took pictures and I filed a police report and they went and arrested him immediately, took him in. And I really tried to kind of not talk to him, and his best friend continually reached out to me.
Yes, they do.
And then we had protective order court, and he came in protective order court on the screen. I love you. I'm so sorry. And the judge was like, you're admitting guilt, Lander. And he's like, I don't care. I love her. Um, and I fell for it. And I went to the DA and advocated that what he needed was rehab, that he wasn't an abusive man, that it was the substances that made him abusive. And they, on my okay, they gave him 3 years probation. He got out. We got back together. Everything was okay for a little while until he found out that while he was in jail, I'd met up with an old friend, to try and heal some of that pain that I was feeling. And from then on out, I got called a racial slur um, an inward loving whore every day for the next 6 months. Um, he would abuse me 4 more times.
Let me just pause you right
Mhm.
there. It's so funny to me that you can hate me so much, but you won't leave.
Mhm.
You hate me so much
Mhm.
that you have to try to make me hurt every single day, but you hate me this much and you won't leave.
Mhm.
One, you have nowhere to go. But
Mhm.
beyond that, why are you still here?
Right. Right. Um, Eventually he went back to West Texas in February, and then came home to report for probation um on March 23rd. I mean on March 25th. And he would abuse me that morning at the house. Callie was a witness to it. She was there. Um, that evening, I told him that I needed to. We had a dog, and I said, I need to get this dog to you. We need to meet in a public location. You need to get your dog back. I'm done. I'm really finished this time. He's like, well, you can bring her to the shop, and I said, well, are there cameras at the shop? And is there anybody there at the shop staying there? Because the guys, they have like rooms and showers there because it's oil field type stuff. And he said, yeah, there's people here and there's cameras up. And so I went to TMS in Bossier, and I got there, and there was nobody there. And there were no cameras. And immediately when I got in, he took my keys and he threw them. And he said, now get on the ground and crawl and find them. I want to see what kind of panties you have on. And I knew like I wasn't getting out of there without. He was always the type that he got really mad when I wouldn't have sex with him, and I'm just now learning what all of that is. Like that's still something that I'm coming to terms with. I never reported what happened that night in Bossier. I don't think that I ever will because of how it was handled back in 2017 when I reported. I just don't think that it's not worth it to me. And plus I had consensual sex with him after that. And so I ended up flying out to Odessa to see him in April. And he would strangle me and throw my head into a wall there and almost not bring me to the airport to catch my flight back out. And then at the end of April, on April 23rd of 2025, he would abuse me for the last time. And I finally reported it. And they arrested him a week later, the first weekend in May 2025. And he's been in jail ever since, waiting for his stuff for the current charges, which are domestic abuse battery, child endangerment. And now he's backing up the original charges of domestic abuse battery, child endangerment, and domestic abuse strangulation.
I hate that they call it domestic abuse strangulation because it's attempted murder.
Correct. Correct. It is.
And they get the opportunity to charge them with a lesser sentence, from my understanding, than
Mm-hmm.
attempted murder, which is what it is.
Yeah, because the first time when he agreed to the 3 years probation, they dropped the domestic strangulation and just charged him with he was convicted on domestic abuse, the child endangerment charge. But now all that's out of play because he's revoked his probation, abusing me again.
They really give these people an opportunity to take a plea deal
It's what Catter Parish is known for.
for a lesser charge
Mm-hmm.
of
Yep.
abusing and beating and trying to kill And if it was a stranger,
It would be attempted murder, right?
it
But
would be
I,
attempted murder.
I did advocate. I did go to the DA and I did plead his case in October of 2024. I did do that. He needs help. He needs treatment. Never got it. They never mandated him to go to it.
But let's say this before we go. Police officers, counselors, district attorneys,
Mm-hmm.
judges
Yes.
will tell any person who comes in for the first time to report an abuse that this is a cycle. It's not going to change. I've seen it time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
They might not say it every time, but it's a high probability that you're going to get that scolding when you
Mm-hmm.
decide to go back and say, I want to drop the charges or anything like that. Or
Mm-hmm.
you call the police and then you say, well, I'm going to go back. They're going to scold you with that information. However, if I know this and I'm apparently authority of the law, in other cases, I can veto and overrule what someone comes back and says. If
Mm-hmm.
I deem it to be beyond you, like beyond the damage, like is
Mm-hmm.
severe. I'm so curious as to, even though you called the police and then you advocated for him, he's never done this before. It was only when he was blah, 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 blah. They've seen abuse more times than you've seen abuse. They've seen how these people act more times in all the experiences that you've experienced, reported and not reported, than you've seen how these people act.
Why are you letting this engaged, almost married, trauma bonded, in love woman come in here and plead the case for this man that almost just tried to kill her? I'd have told you to go shut up and sit down. Like, ma'am,
This is my
please.
courtroom, because they will throw that at anyone when they're tired of hearing something. This is my courtroom. Do
Ma'am, we
you
need
want
you
to
to
be
sit
held
down.
in contempt of court?
Right.
But here it is. And all of a sudden, you act like you have no authority in your court to say, no, I'm going to overrule your plea. And this is not domestic strangulation, it's attempted murder.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing at that point that the victim who's trauma bonded can do is cry, woe is me, and say, I'm sorry for calling the police. And now you have to suffer the penalty of your actions,
Right.
sober or not.
Right.
And then eventually that person goes on to another relationship or goes on to get healing or whatever. They live their life. It's not the end of their life because the person that they thought they held on to hope for went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
As I rant, it is so annoying that they can push their agenda and they can push their badge and they can push their gavel when they want to.
Right.
But when they know, it's like there's absolutely, I don't care if you come back and say, no, let me just advocate for him. I don't care if you came back and did that. You called the police. There's clear evidence that his hands were around your neck.
Right. Yeah.
That strangulation did take place. This is an open, like, what do we need? This is beyond a reasonable doubt, right? This is clear. You're the walking evidence.
Right. There's marks all over my neck. Mm-hmm.
But y'all can go call Child Protective Services and tell me to leave and
Right.
let other Harpo just hang out at the house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our system is failing people on so many levels.
Yes, it is. All kinds of people. Yes.
In no world in the United States should you have should you feel the need to say, "Oh, but I went back and advocated for him." There should be no space open for you to take any responsibility in this, any blame in their decision.
Right.
You did what you were supposed to do. You went to the people who were supposed to help you, and they were going to give a probation in, like, were they going to charge him with something serious before you advocated for him? The only thing you know is that we'll give him probation and see if he can get help. No, how about you take this citizen and you get him help if you actually believe that he can get help.
I wish they'd have let him sit the way that he sat this time. Because 10 months of no contact then would, you know,
That's and when you're so tied emotionally, physically, like all when you're tied to this toxicity and the hope
yeah,
that it's not always going to, because what people don't realize is that the good times are they're part of the abuse. I need you to believe that I'm going to get better in order for you to come back or stay.
right.
And if we can help our women and our young girls and men and boys realize that if you can just stop communicating with them, they no longer have the space or power over you mentally.
That's so right.
You're able to release all of the brainwashing that they've been doing. It takes time. Let's not pretend like you stop talking to them for 3 months and you're going to be good to go. It
Mm-mm.
takes time because it took time for them to get you there. But if you can go, I'm going to say good solid 12 months, your chances of not going back to that relationship drastically increase
Oh, yeah.
because you can step out. And in my case, I started to see the manipulation. And
Right.
because we had kids and because there was still the I don't want to be the reason that you're not with your dad. Still that's like, even though this is a whole nother topic. If someone is an abusive person to the mother of their children, they should not be allowed access to their children.
That part. No, they shouldn't. They
Just
shouldn't.
because you planted your seed in me doesn't give you authority to be in these kids' lives. If you're abusive, you're
Hmm.
only perpetuating the cycle.
Right.
But once you're out of it and you don't communicate with them and you give yourself time to grieve the relationship as you should, because you had a bond, you did feel like you loved this person. Part of them made you believe that they loved you. Once you can grieve that and you get clarity,
Yes.
you see the manipulation. I could see him trying to manipulate me after I had separated and given myself time to not communicate with him.
Hmm.
They really think you're stupid,
Right. Oh, yeah, they do.
and you're not. You're not stupid. You're confused.
Hmm.
As one of my former guests um said, she said that the your brain has been rewired
Yes.
because of the manipulation
Hmm.
and the highs and lows and the uncertainties, and then your body's staying in a state of fight or
Hmm.
flight. Your brain is rewired. And so if you can allow it to reset to some sense of homeostasis and peace, you then see the manipulation for what it is.
Yep.
So, my last question, Christina,
Mhm.
of all of the experiences that you've lived, girl, didn't I tell y'all? I told you at the beginning, I said, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I felt like you needed your helmet. And I hope you kept it beside you.
Hmm.
Oh. Shreveport. You pissed me off. Okay. Not that that's out the way. So pissed off. So pissed off. What is the advice that you would either give to your younger self or someone who is in it now? If they just happen to come across this episode, they've heard what you've experienced. They've experienced some of the things they're experiencing you didn't experience, and some of the things you experienced they haven't experienced. What is the advice that you would give them heart to heart so that, I mean, obviously they can see that there is joy and hope on the other side,
Yes.
but not to stay as long or go back?
So I think the advice that I would give somebody else or my younger self is number one, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Number two, there are resources. There are real resources that will really help you. They're the Domestic Violence Hotline. They will come up with a safety plan. They will stay on the phone with you. They will answer. It is a resource that I used. Um, don't give up. Don't listen to the voice or the darkness that tells you the world would be better off without you, because that's not true. Whether that's an internal voice or that's the voice of a man or a woman that's supposed to love you, it is not the truth. It is a lie straight from the enemy. And as long as there's breath in your lungs, you have a purpose and a plan for your life. And there's gonna come a day that you're gonna be on a podcast like this, or just talking to somebody in a basic conversation, and the story of what you went through and the mud and the muck and the mire. And that story is going to help pull another person out of that dark place. And when you look back on that time in your life, picture yourself giving that girl, that younger girl, or that younger guy a hug and that grace. Because there is joy and there is meaning and there is better things. And life can be good. And it can be good for a good period of time. It's not all going to fall to pieces again. You're worth more. You're enough. You matter.
This is where if I had a soundboard, I would definitely press the applause button. Y'all heard what Christina said. You're worth more. You're enough. You matter. Ooh, I have nothing to add to that. I have nothing to add. I just want to say, Christina, thank you for your wide open transparency. And I truly wholeheartedly believe, I don't know the day, I don't know the time, I don't know the people, but I truly wholeheartedly believe that this conversation is really going to reach the people that it's supposed to reach. And it's going to help the people who are still stuck in that dark place know that this is you and your voice reaching down your hand to them to pull them up into the light. You exposed yourself in such a way that has to take courage, has to take healing, has to take self-worth
Thank you.
and the knowledge of it. And I just want to say it has truly been an honor to have this conversation and a privilege to be in this conversation with you.
Thank you.
It truly
Thank you for allowing me the safe space to share it. And thank you for what you're doing.
absolutely. God, baby, when I tell you, I just say, God, do your thing. I'm just here. Let
Right.
do your thing. So it is a joy. There is joy, as y'all can see, on the other side. Like, I love the conversations where I get to laugh with my sister, so
Mhm.
that you know that despite the trash and the tragedy that we've been through, there is joy on the other side.
There is joy.
There is joy on the other side. My people, I hope you hung in there. Woo! You needed the water break. I hope you took it, because
Right.
Lord have mercy. Christina, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Continue to show up, continue to share your love, continue to shine your light. And y'all know what it is in the meantime, in between time, we are gone. Pew, 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 pew. Woo! Child, girl.